Namaste. Welcome to this session. We are considering the topic of Chittaprasadanam. And therein we are going to look at the second alternative mentioned, which is regarding prana, that is Pracchardanavidha va pranasya. So the topic is of Chittaprasadanam. And what is this prasadanam? Prasadanam of the chitta. Prasadanam in the chitta. So what is this prasadanam? As I said on an earlier occasion, it is a blessed condition of the mind. So I recall Vyasa mentioning and then Vijnanabhiksu quoting Vyasa and commenting further on it. She gives wonderful meaning of prasadanam. Prasadanam samadhi pratibandha raga dvesha adharmadi malapasaranam. What is really antagonizing our yoga sadhana, samadhi sadhana, dhyana sadhana, our meditative endeavor? What is really antagonizing is samadhi pratibandhaka, samadhi pratibandhaka, raga dvesha adharmadi malapasaranam. So these are the factors which really torment us when we think of having endeavor, when we try to go for endeavor of dhyanam, japam, or the meditation, what is called as meditation today. It is samadhi pratibandhaka. What is that which antagonizes? Raga vasana, then raga vritti, dvesha bhavana, dvesha vasana, dvesha vritti, and adharma. So raga, dvesha, adharmadi, etc. These factors are those which antagonize our any endeavor to be meditating. And prasadanam is that which takes measure by way of malapasaranam. Mala, these are dirts. As we saw in the last session, chitta kalushya is a dirt of the mind. And these are also dirt of the mind. So when these dirts are set aside, mitigated, that is called Chittaprasadanam. So imagine the mind without kama krodhadi adripus, without raga dvesha adharma, kalushya, etc. dirt. When they are not there in the mind is prone to go to meditation. We don't have to make an endeavor. It naturally sways towards dhyanam. And that's why it is called chitta prasadanam. So measures whereby the mind will gravitate towards dhyana sadhana, samadhi sadhana, japa sadhana. That is the state of mind which is prasadita mind, prasadita chitta, blessedness of the chitta. And that is the meaning of chitta prasadanam. So we saw the first measure, maitri karuna mudita upekshanam sukha dukha punya vishayanam bhavanatascha chitta prasadanam. Now the second measure is being mentioned. The second measure is by the sutra Pracchardanavidha va pranasya. Now, what is this measure? Pracchardanaam. Pracchardanaam means exhalative and post-exhalative retention. Prana kriya is exhalative act. So, in yoga technology, prana kriya is exhalative act, apana kriya is inhalative act. That is why pranapana kriya is said to be a characteristic of pranayama. So, here we should be clear about the prana kriya means exhalative kriya, apana kriya means inhalative kriya. What is being mentioned is exhalative kriya. And pracchardhanam. Pracchardhanam is a process like when we vomit. When we vomit, it is such a force that all that is in the belly comes out anti-gravitationally, and then we vomit. So there is a force. Vomit is a force. Vomiting is a forceful act of the belly where it pumps up that excess of bile and the undigested food stuff, which is pushed up with a heavy force, and then therefore it comes up anti-gravitationally, and then the vomit act takes place. So we all know how the vomit takes place in our digestive system, where the food in the belly comes up and come through the mouth, it goes out, and then it is expelled out. It is not just it flows out or goes out, it is expelled out, it is ejected. It is ejected and expelled. So, exhalation of the nature of pracchardana means it is a strong act. So, what is vomited here is the belly, the breath in the belly is vomited. Now, here we don't vomit the food, but in prana kriya means exhalation is such an act where the exhalation is forcefully let out, expelled, ejected, forced out. So that force in exhalation is what is being mentioned here. That is why Pracchardanavidha abhyam, vidharana, that means there is a retention, suspension, pause. After that exhalation which has come out, which has been thrown out, which has been ejected out, which has been expelled out, like a vomit is expelled, then a slight suspension and retention. So vidharana. Vidharana means not to immediately inhale thereafter, but to wait for a while. So that is a act which has reference to the breathing process. And therefore this is a kind of pranayamic process to quieten the mind, make the mind placid, and throw out the dirt of the mind. So here the exhalation is a vomit of the mind matter, which is vomit worthy. In our act of vomit, it is vomit of food which is vomit worthy, and then we have the act of vomit. You can imagine how is the act of vomit. So here a very relevant technology, the dirt of the mind. Now we have just now seen what is the dirt of the mind. So to elaborate on the dirt of the mind is stress, strain, tension, worry, anxiety, disquietude, turbulence. Now, these are the conditions which we want to be thrown out from our mind. We don't want to retain them in our mind. We don't say, I've got very good tension and stress and worry and anxiety. I want to have it and live with it. We want those things to be ejected. We want those things to be thrown out of the mind. And then vomit is only act which will try to eject the dirt from the mind. Of course, this is vomit of the breath. The breath must be vomited. Or vomit like exhalation should take place. Because in exhalation, the breath goes out. The abdominal air goes out through the nostrils. The lung air goes out through the nostril. So that's the gate. The nostril is the gate to be vomiting the exhalation. So also biologically we will understand that in the carbon dioxide that has got accumulated in the lungs is eject worthy, is to be dispensed with, is to be forced out, is to be let out. And that is what our exhalation is. So exhalation is of the nature, if I may say so, the toxins of the lungs are thrown out. Now, if it's a vomit-like exhalation, which is little sharper, thicker, deeper, it will be really like breath vomit. Now, breath vomit means vomit of carbon dioxide, toxic air, heat. So you can also place your palm in front of the nose and make a sharper exhalation. You will see that the warmth, temperature is let out. Inhalation is cooling and exhalation is the hot air, the impure air is always hot. And that's why you know that the impure air being hot becomes light. And therefore in your room, the hot air settles towards the ceiling. So therefore we have ventilators at the top of the room so that hot air can go out. A fresh air is heavier and it is cooler, so it is down. So we must allow the fresh air to come in through any ventilator which is at the lower part of the room, and for the hot air to go out, we must have a ventilator at the top part of the room. The exhaust fans are always fixed at the top of the room, not at the bottom of the room. From bottom of the room, we want to inlet the breath, inlet the air, which is cool, and being cool, it is heavy, and then contaminated air is hot, therefore becomes light and goes up. So the lungs contain oxygen, and this is what we know, and we have this kind of impression. Lungs means oxygen container. This is not true. Lungs also contain carbon dioxide, and there is an alternation taking place. So in inhalation, the lungs are full with oxygen. But do you just want to have in-breath in your life and no out-breath in your life? In-breath means the fresh air will come in, what you call your oxygen, coveted oxygen will come in. But in the body processes or biological processes, the carbon dioxide is turned out. We are creating carbon dioxide within our body. So, through the blood system, vascular system, the carbon dioxide comes into the lungs. So if you know the functions of the lungs, so it also is full with carbon dioxide when you are going to exhale. Because what you exhale is carbon dioxide. You don't exhale oxygen like the basil plant. It exhales oxygen. We don't exhale oxygen, we exhale carbon dioxide. Now, carbon dioxide is what? Toxic matter in the lungs. That means unless the lungs are containing carbon dioxide, how will you exhale? And why will you exhale? Why there should be a need of exhalation? So lungs contain both alternately. For a while they become oxygen containers, then purify the blood, but then after a while they become carbon dioxide containers, and then we exhale for that matter, because there is carbon dioxide within us in the lungs. So when you are going to exhale, now carbon dioxide is invariably toxic air. It's a toxic air, it's not a nourishing air for biological system like ours. So just as in vomiting act, the toxins from the belly are ejected out, thrown out, precisely vomited out through the mouth. Here, it's a vomit of exhalation. That is what is being suggested. Pracchardana, vomit. Of what? Prana. And then what? Vidharana. For a while, wait. So let the lungs be free from whatever carbon dioxide for a while. So that is being suggested here. Because if you are going to inhale immediately, you'll have to again exhale immediately. And therefore, there is a word vidharana, and this is for chitta. You can try out. You can exhale, and after exhalation, see what happens to your mind. The mind is relaxed. And then when you wait for optimum time, your mind is more relaxed. But then if you try to overstay in retention, then the mind becomes uncomfortable. Then it is like fish out of waters. Therefore, it is soothed by inhalation. So we should be understanding the act of exhalation and act of inhalation. What does the inhalation do? What does the exhalation do? We know what it does for a biological body. Inhalation means it gets oxygen, which is so vital for life, such as ours. And then the exhalation is an act which lets out the carbon dioxide, the heat and toxins through the exhalation. So if you try to blow your exhalation over a piece of glass or on a mirror, you will see the moisture will be there in your exhalation. There will be warmth in your exhalation. And of course, there is carbon dioxide, which is a toxic air. And that's why the exhalation, exhalative act has a role for your lungs, for your biological system, that some temperature is thrown out, which is so important. If you do not throw the temperatures from your out, with the body combustion going on, if the body is in a way working like a machine, your organic body is working, metabolism is working, so it is going to turn out some heat. When a machine is working, the machine will be turning out some heat. The machine is heated. Any machine is heated when it is functioning. So when our physiological system is working and functioning, it is going to turn out some heat. There is a combustion, and it is going to turn out some heat. And just as automobile has an exhaust pipe, whereby you know what is going out through the exhaust pipe, it's always hot. You will never say it's a very cool exhaust. If you try to take your hand near the silencer of the car and then allow the engine to run, it will be having temperature. So The body also is constantly functioning, the metabolic function, and the function of the systemic body, because all the organs should be working. Lungs, heart, liver, stomach, colon, bladder, intestine, spleen, you name any organ, kidneys, they all must be functioning. Now, if they are going to be functioning, then they will generate some heat, and the heat has to go out. So your exhalation is not only carbon dioxide, but little hotter carbon dioxide. And not only little hotter carbon dioxide, but little moisture in it. And then whatever toxic gaseous matter is there, that also goes out with exhalation. So that is with reference to our corporeal body, but yoga says that it also does something for the mind. So when you are making a voluntary exhalation, in yogic processes, you are not only throwing out the carbon dioxide which is in the lungs, but you are also throwing out any carbon-like thing in the mind, psyche, consciousness, which is a toxic matter. And what is this toxic matter? We just now saw the adripus, the vasanas, raga, dvesha, adharma. All these are going to create heat. There are toxins, so that will also go out. So any heat of the mind will go out. Now when you want to meditate, do you want a hot mind or cool mind? It is absurd to think that you should have a little hotter mind to meditate. You need cool mind, because the meaning of word cool with reference to mind is different than the cool word with reference to physical matter of the body. Now, what are the toxins in the mind? We just now saw kama, krodha, lobha, moha, matsarya, raga, dvesha, adharma. All these turn out heat in the mind. The mind is always hot for those who are in adharma. So disquiet mind means it has a temperature. It is heated mind. So disquiet mind, turbulent mind, vexed mind, stressed mind, tensed mind, mind with some pressure, undesirable pressure, negative pressure. So these are all the things which go out by a yogic exhalation. That's why yoga stresses on exhalative act. So basically, to understand this particular measure, which is Pracchardanavidha bhyam va pranasya, we need to understand, particularly for Chittaprasadanam, we can consider the psychological mental mind here. That the psychological mental mind needs to become placid, or be placid, or become more placid. It should be quiet and become more and more quiet. It should be tender and become more and more tender. It should be soft and become more and more soft. It should be pure and become more and more purer. It should be pious and become more and more pious. And yoga technology has identified this, that exhalation is not only of the lungs and respiratory system, but psychomental system as well. Provided you know little yogic process of exhalations, it can work that way. It will not only turn out the toxic gaseous matter and moisture, etc., physical matter from the body, but even from mind matter, you can be using the exhalation for that purpose. So the toxic matter of the mind, which is heavy matter of the mind, the toxin of the mind is always heavy. The toxin is never light for mind. So any toxin in the mind in the form of kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya, raga, dvesha, kalushya, which we saw in the last session, these are all heavy particles of the mind. And these heavy particles of the mind are also warm particles of the mind. And they need to be going out. So that is why this measure has been mentioned. So, primarily here we have to understand the role of exhalation with reference to the very mind, psyche, consciousness and chitta. And therefore here the sutra is with reference to exhalative act called pranakriya. Prana means therefore uchvasa here. Prana means uchvasa. Pranakriya means uchvasa kriya, exhalative act, or what is also called as rechana kriya. See again, very apt word, rechanam. Rechanam means it is a kind of purgative, laxative of the mind. We know the purgative of the belly, and we are used to taking these purgatives and laxatives. Once in a while, once in 8, 10 days, 10, 15 days, we take the laxatives and purgatives so that our abdomen becomes clean, abdominal organs become clean, the colons become clean, the intestines become clean, and they are called rechakas. What you call as laxative and purgatives, they are called rechaka in Sanskrit and vernacular. And again, very aptly, exhalation is called rechana kriya. Exhalation is also rechaka. Inhalation is puraka, exhalation is rechaka. So see, very, very significant terminology here by the science of yoga. So exhalation means rechana kriya, exhalation means rechaka. So after rechana kriya, rechaka kriya, dharana means tambanam, a suspension or retention. That also purifies the chitta. So this is great revelation of Patanjali. Otherwise, modern man used to only be taking something that is called as a pill, the pill which is a sedative. So they only know sedative for the mind, which is in a form of swallowing a pill or taking some drug of that nature, and then that is sedative. The sedative means what? Mind becomes quiet. So they have only a measure against a mind which is stressed or tensed, and then they give a sedative. The modern science has not really bothered about impurity of the mind, dirt of the mind, and then think of giving a purgative to the mind or a laxative to the mind. So modern science is not still aware of need of any purgative and laxative to the mind, which is because it is containing lot of dirt. See, we have an excretory system for biological body and physiological body, because this is, we know it is going to turn out waste, and then we have excretory system with the gates, the dirt goes out. As a matter of fact, the 9 gates of the body have 9 kinds of dirt. What are the 9 gates of the body? 9 gates of the body are 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 nostrils, and then the mouth, and then the lower 2 gates from where excretion takes place, the urination and bowel movements. So that's why this is called Navadvara puri. This is a body with 9 gates. So these 9 gates turn out the dirt from the body. Because the body will be intaking. The body intakes, something enters the body, and therefore the waste is formed, and the waste has to be turned out. The body will be forming dirt by its process, by its metabolic process. Now, the body eats, there is ingestion, and therefore there is excretion from the body. So there is intaking gates for the body, the mouth. From the mouth you intake your food in the form of solid, liquid, food, etc. And then you have outer gates, out gates, which again let out the solid, liquid form of dirt, waste, and it is turned out. The body eats and body lets out. But understand the mind, your thought organ. The thought organ is only intaking. The thought organ is only intaking. We don't have any excreta for the mind or excretion of the mind. Excreta is very much there. Excreta is formed in the mind. When the mind has eaten something, mind is eating something, mind is all the time eating something, mind is often eating something. But then where is the outlet gate? Like the body has a system, what is called an excretory system. The excreta is thrown out, the waste is thrown out. What about the mind? The mind eats more frequently by way of thoughts than the body eating food. Because there are some times for taking food, breakfast time, lunch time, tiffin time, and dinner time, etc., etc., supper time. So, fixed time. We are not 24 hours eaters when it comes to food. We are not munchmen, 24 hours munching something or the other. And if anybody is doing that frequently, then he is called munchman, and that is not a good condition. But look at the mind and thought. Thought organ will be constantly munching in your awakeful state and in your dreamy state. It only finds a rest in your dormant state, dreamless sleep. It is only at that time that the mind doesn't eat, the thought organ doesn't eat. Otherwise, the thought organ is constantly eating. Now, if the thought organ is constantly eating, we never think of any purgative to the mind or purgative to thought organ, laxative to mind and laxative to thought organ. That is why our dirt is getting accumulated in the mind, because constant inward movement, thoughts eaten, experience eaten. The mind is a constant eater. Mind is really a munchman. In your awakeful state and dreamy state, the mind will be munching, will be eating something or the other in the form of thought and experience or whatever. It's mind matter. Mind matter is constantly eaten by the mind. It doesn't have fixed time. This is breakfast time, so mind will eat something. Now the mind will not eat for 2, 3, 4 hours. And then comes a meal time, lunch time, it will eat something. Again, it will not eat for 2, 3, 4 hours or 4, 5, 6 hours. No, that is not the case of the mind. Mind is constantly gobbling. It's a gobbler. It is constantly munching. But then where is the colon for mind? Where is the bladder for the mind? The mind doesn't urinate. The mind doesn't pass fecal matter. However, it has a lot of fecal matter in it. Having eaten, you can't say that there is no fecal matter turned out or no disposable matter turned out. If you are constantly ingesting the food in form of solid and liquid, you are going to formulate something to be going out, liquid matter in the form of sweat or urination, and solid matter by way of fecal matter. So that is not there for the mind. Now, is it really not there? It is there. So yoga says it is there. And that is why yoga calls exhalation as a rechana kriya or rechaka. It's a rechaka. It's a purgative or a laxative or a mild purgative, mild laxative. And that is so important for mind to be healthy. And therefore here, Pracchardanavidhanabhyam, that means it is vomit of the mind. The exhalation is collecting all vomitable matter of the mind and then it expels. In yoga technology, in our mechanical exhalation, it doesn't happen because it is a nominal kind of force and volume. What is the volume of your in-breath and out-breath? So it is estimated by the science that it is something like 600 liters of breath that might come in with your inhalation. And of course, more or less the same volume will go out with your exhalation. But they say lung has a capacity 7 times the capacity that the man can take the breath, and therefore there can be that much escalation in the exhalation. So if the man can inhale 7 times the normal in breath, that is 600 liters into 7, then if the exhalation is also around 600 liters, again 7-fold. So 4,200 liters can be exhaled. This is enormous compared to normal exhalation. So the vomit is always a deeper exhalation. A vomit-like exhalation will be always a voluminous exhalation because there is that force and gush. With such a force and gush, you will not let out nominal breath. You will let out substantial breath. So point is, understand the concept of rechaka here, because this is exhalative act, and this exhalation is of the mind along with of the lungs. Not that it is not of the lungs, but of the mind. It is of the lungs as well as of the mind. This is pranayamic exhalation. Normal exhalation means only the exhalation of the lungs. And pranayamic exhalation, it has a technology, it deals with volume, velocity, density, confinement, deployment, whereby it also becomes the exhalation of the mind. So when the mind has exhaled, imagine what would be going out. It's not that the mind contains carbon dioxide. Lungs contain carbon dioxide, not the mind. Then what is the content of the mind which really goes out with this vomit of exhalation? The matter of the mind, which is disposable, which is to be thrown out, which is to be ejected, is stress, tension, worry, anxiety, turbulence, heat, kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya, raga, dvesha, adharma. So also the negative aspects of mind such as cruelty, harshness, unfriendliness. So all these negative aspects of the mind are its toxic contents. So this exhalation pranayamic exhalation or yogic exhalation works on the mind and throws out. We'll also experience that by exhalation in yogic process, your body matter is also relaxed. With inhalation, the body matter is tensed. If you voluntarily inhale and inhale deeper, the body matter is tensed and stressed. So this can be experimented and experienced, anyone and everyone. The more you exhale, mindfully you exhale, and the more you exhale, qualitatively better you exhale, the body matter also will be distended. The body matter also will overcome any stress and tension. Because when a person is tensed, so we say that the body is tensed, but that's not true. The mind tension is overflowing, it is spilling, and it is falling on the body. And the body too is different when there is a mental stress and mental tension. Chemically, the body is different, because when the mind is having enormous stress or tension or anxiety, it is overflowing the mind, it will be spilling from the container of the mind, and that will fall on the body matters. So the body also will have tension, stress and tension. So when you make exhalation, you can definitely experience the body is also distended. There is also distension in the body. So distension of the body means the body is also quietened. Tensed body means body is disquietened. Distended body matter, your skin, your muscles, they become soft, they become tender, they become distended. So there is something called not only distension of the mind, but distension of the body. So we must be literate about these facts about the body. That the body matters such as skin, flesh, muscles, they can be tensed, and therefore they can be getting distended. And exhalation does even for a body matter, when it is with reference to body, it exhalts in distending the skin, distending the muscles, distending the tissues, distending the fibers. So that's also toxin of the body. We only know that the stress and tension is only with reference to mind, but that is not completely true. It is incomplete truth. The body is also typical under stressed and tensed conditions. The stress and tension is also permeating the body matters. So with exhalation, you can definitely experience, you can do right now here. You can exhale with the chest confinement, your chest will become soft. The chest will become relaxed. With reference to brain, if you exhale, the head will become relaxed. The brain, skull will become relaxed. With reference to abdomen, abdomen will become relaxed. So after relaxation, if you immediately inhale, you are immediately replacing it with the opposite condition. And therefore, there is suggestion of a pause, a suspension, little extended phase, not to immediately inhale after exhalation, but to wait for a while. Therefore, exhale such a quantum that you can be comfortable in just suspending the inhalation for a while. But if you exhale excessively, go overboard in exhalation, you want to immediately inhale, immediately, as much as it would be in a word like I double M double M double M I DIATE. So let's first try to explore the effect of exhalations on body matter and mind matter. Let's try to experience the role of exhalation on brain, the cortices, the lobes, the matter of the brain, and then you will see that the brain gets distended. How does it get distended? What really goes out? You said tension goes out. What is tension? Tension is a fecal matter of your mind. Nobody says, I am happy with the tension and let me have the tension. So that's a waste. That's a disposable matter. So therefore, it works in purging the lobes of the brain, cortices of the brain, cells of the brain, because they all collect the matter which after a while becomes waste matter. See, if you have eaten a delicacy, you don't want the delicacy to remain in your belly for a longer time. Then it would become poison. You want to have the delicacy, but you want that to go out in a due course. You don't want to retain, oh, it was wonderful meals. I'm going to keep it in my belly. I'm going to retain in my belly for a longer time. It was really very great delicacy that you gave me to eat. No, you want that to go in right time. After a particular duration, you want that to be going out. You don't want to retain that delicious mango which you ate with such a relish. You want that to find a way out. Similarly, we don't identify about the food of the mind, food of the brain, food of the thought matter, the food of the thought organs. We are just taking it. So it is going to be turned out into a waste matter. Just as any pure food, good food, delicious food, after a while it becomes waste matter in the system. And having become waste matter, it must find its way out. So also, howsoever the thought good, howso the thought coveted, after a while it is going to become stale, and it is definitely going to be eject worthy, disposable. It needs to go out. It has to go out. And otherwise it becomes poison. Like food staying in the system becomes poison. Here also it would become a poison. And that's a toxin. And even the modern science has not thought over this kind of purgation to mind, purgation, laxation to mind. And you see, at least when it comes to eating, perhaps you will always eat right food. You will never eat wrong food. Perhaps you are discreet. In that case, you will be very much scrupulous about your eating. What is it that you are eating? Is it good food? Is it right? Is it good? Or is it impure? Will you like to eat impure food? But when it comes to thought, there is no filtration. There is no filtration. This thought organ has that open mouth, like you see in public places, the waste collecting. They have animal forms, bear, etc. The waste collecting containers. They have that form of some animal, some creature, and they always have mouth open, so you can put your waste into it. That is what our mind organ is. It is always with open mouth. It doesn't really filter. Good thought and bad thought will have free entry into your mind. You will have no control over good thought and mind thought, the scrutiny, etc., filtration, etc. It will just get in. So the mouth is like the mouth of a waste collecting container which has always open mouth to accept the waste that you want to throw into it. That's how our mind is. And the modern science has not thought over it. They give only sedatives. They do not give any purgative to mind. They know that the bad thoughts are really giving tension and worry. Or even if they are good thoughts, if they become stale, they become toxic and they need to be going out. Old thought can become toxic thought, will become toxic thought sooner or later. It must be replaced. Like our body is constantly replaced by cells. If you have a very beautiful body, it doesn't mean that you are going to arrest your metabolism and you want to stay with same cells. No. The body matter is renewable. Skin is renewed, muscles are renewed, bones are renewed. The body matter is renewed. And it should be renewed. It is renewable and it is being renewed. Just because you like it, you can't say my face, I want the face to be like this. After coming out of a parlor. You can't put a statue to your metabolism. Hey, skin, don't transform. Stay as you are now. It will not happen. The matter is ever changing. The cells are dying, cells are taking birth. This is what the life is. The life is combination of birth and death. The cells have to take birth, cells have to die. You can't say, please stop the death rate of the cells. If you stop or decelerate the death rate of the cells, that means you are going older and older, quicker and quicker. So in case of a child, the death rate is greater and birth rate is lower. In case of very old very senior citizens, 80, 90, 95 years old, the birth rate is low. And the death rate is also low. In a growing child, the birth rate is greater, death rate is greater. For a very old person of 90s, 80s, 90s, the birth rate is also low, death rate is also low, and therefore the liveliness goes away. Anyway, the point is, here is a technique mentioned to turn out the toxins of the mind. So it's a wonderful concept of yoga. Pracchardanavidha va pranasya. So we must be familiar with the act of breathing with reference to mind. And this is a very important step in yoga. You must understand how the breath plays a role not only for your body matter, but for your mind matter. So once you have sufficient knowledge about how the breath plays a role for mind matter, then you will know that exhalation plays exceptional role to distend the mind, quieten the mind, sedate the mind, purify the mind, cleanse the mind, wash the mind, make the mind immaculate, make the mind transparent. So only yoga will tell you about this. Yoga will make you aware of the lab that you have within yourself, the lab that you are by yourself, as to how the exhalation works on mind. And of course, how it works on body matter as well. So asanas is wonderful laboratory to understand how the exhalation works on body matter. The less flexible people will become more flexible. The more hard people, stiff people, hard in body matter, stiff in body matter, will overcome the stiffness and the hardness of the body, which is a negative condition for body movements. So, exhalation works on both body matter. So, what is a lesson for us here is that we must try to know what is the role of exhalation on body matter, body functions, body profiles, body states, the states of matters of body, facets of body, aspects of body, factors of body, and then similarly the mind. So unless we have some orientation to the second aspect, that is how exhalation works on mind, we will not be really understanding the purport of this sutra. Therefore, after having heard this lesson today, I want you to try this out and see how the exhalation can work on your mind in different postures, different asanas. They work differently. So how the mind will be beneficiary of your exhalations, then the exhalation which is normal but profound, the exhalation which is soft but profound, or exhalation which is thick and profound. So try to get some practical knowledge about this theory that is being postulated in technology of yoga. So I would like you to try this out before we go to little deeper purport of the sutra, which will be next time. So between today and next time, I am giving you some time lapse, during which time you must try out how the exhalation primarily works for mind matter, of course also body matter. Because in asanas you have to address your body matter, put the body matter in position, in condition, then it will work exaltedly on the mind. So try to have your own experience about this. So you will crystallize concept of toxins of the mind, which are the factors which are obstacles to yoga. Tension, worry, stress, anxiety, and then malais, then kama krodha adi, raga lobha adi, raga dvesha adi, and kalushya, prejudices in the mind. So yes, the prejudices will be waning out. The mind will become more balanced. Yoga does that. That's why yoga gives you balanced mind. But what is balanced mind? Not having prejudices, not having polarities, not having gravities. Dvandva anabhigat condition, without dualities. What is without duality of the mind? Is having no prejudices. So try to have few experimentations on your own in various asanas that you might be trying. Find out what this pracchardana vidharana bhyam va pranasya can do. That exhalation of the nature of vomit, then little suspension after that, then also exhalation done little tenderly, soft, and then little suspension, and try to know how it works on body matter and mind matter, both primarily mind matter. So in order that you should be going to work, you will be going to the lab and working, which is your own embodiment in asanas. Try to get convinced about the purport of the sutra to whatever extent you have understood today. And then let us proceed in our next session. So namaskar all of you.